Okay, guys, story time. So, you've heard me talk a lot about getting into alignment and how important that is. And I even have some alignment strategies for you. But first, I want to share with you a little story. When I first started as an entrepreneur, I believed that the only way to succeed was to work harder, longer, and with more sacrifice than the next guy. Then I would see friends and colleagues find the success that I had been seeking without all the sacrifice. And first, I assumed that they were just lucky. Then I got in my own head and I developed a belief that their social media following was just because they were thinner or prettier or more bendy than I was. Remember, I was a yoga teacher when I started out. I would get frustrated and jealous and reject their way of doing things. I hated Instagram and I swore that I was getting off that stupid platform. And then program after program had me chasing new strategies, new softwares, and different ways of doing things, even new career paths, and nothing seemed to work. In the early days, in between teaching yoga classes and seeing therapy clients, I would create program content. And then I would try different funnels, resources, and launch strategies to try to reach my audience. See, the one thing that I was always super clear on was what my audience was struggling with, whether that be yoga teachers or other mental health providers or other healthcare professionals. I knew from observation, because that's one of my superpowers, that they were lacking self-awareness. That they didn't realize that their own inner stories, their own struggles were getting in the way of their business success and growth. And how this lack of insight was keeping them in mediocrity. The disconnect for me at the time was that I believed I was a good yoga teacher and I was a good therapist. So it never dawned on me that maybe I didn't believe that I was capable or that I lacked the insight to know that I had something to offer. I truly believed that the barrier for me was the lack of business knowledge. I still say to this day, I did not learn how to be a business owner in social work school. That was until I began working at a yoga studio for an owner who had worked in corporate America for decades. And I realized it doesn't matter that she has the business know-how. She cannot connect with her students because she lacks insight into her own story. Her own shit was getting in the way. Now, this got me curious because if I was following all these new business strategies perfectly, which I wasn't, then I should have had success, right? In 2016, I had an aha moment. I was trying to launch yet another program, and I realized that when I was faced with things that I did not feel competent at, that I was uncomfortable with, that I would avoid the task, like Facebook ads, for example. And where I used to believe that that was lack of business know-how, I started to realize it was the stories I was telling myself about my lack of knowledge. So upon completing that outline for a program, I shared it with some yoga teacher friends of mine because at the time, that was my target audience. They had agreed to take a look at it and give me some feedback. It was the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and I sent the email off, closed my laptop, cracked open a gallon of paint, and began painting my dining room. I would continue to paint for the next 6 weeks. Dining room, living room, kitchen, trim, anything that I could get my hands on so that I could avoid going back and looking at that feedback. As a matter of fact, I never opened those emails. I saw them come in, I left them unread, and did nothing with them. What is that all about? In fact, I made no move towards actually creating anything with that outline. Nothing. And it was while I was sitting on New Year's Day, a snowy New Year's Day, that I came to realize that the issue was me. It was my own thoughts, my own beliefs, my own inner story was getting in the way. It was my thinking about business, about creating programs, and about my ability to actually be successful. That very morning, I cracked open a journal and I wrote, "What am I doing? I'm never going to make it." That was the moment that I realized that I had a lot of work to do. This was 4.5 years after reading Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek, the book that sparked my entire entrepreneurial journey. Over the last decade, I have created and torn apart hundreds of projects, courses, trainings, and books, all in my own head, never actually getting them onto paper. And the common denominator was my belief about my ability to be successful. This New Year's Day of 2017 was the waking up moment for me. It was the moment I realized I needed a new strategy. The no amount of strategy was going to fix this. I needed to be my own therapist and coach, and I hired a coach. And I needed to change the inner landscape. I needed to get rid of the bullshit. And I say all the time now, it is the inner work that attracts the outer success. That's when it all began for me. And my yoga roots had me lean into this idea of expansion and contraction. And I realized what we need more than anything in order to expand in our business is alignment to our true north. And that is the lining up of our values and our beliefs with the impact and goals we have for our business. And that's where the magic happens. As promised, here are my 3 favorite alignment strategies. Step 1, get curious. Get curious about the struggles, the beliefs, the successes, the behaviors, the thoughts. Get curious about everything that comes up for you and ask yourself over and over again, why? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Just see what comes out. Number 2, decide who you will be. The be, do, have coaching strategy is one of my favorites because once you are clear on what you want, the correct question is, who do I need to be? What kind of person would have access to the types of outcomes that I want to create? Then, being that kind of person, what would I be doing? And the have comes as a result. There's no effort that has to be put into the have. And finally, number 3 is believing that anything is possible, that your success is inevitable. And when you think otherwise, challenge it. Don't just allow your brain to run off on you and tell you you're not capable. Ask for evidence, push back, argue with yourself the way you would with your parents when you were 13. You know what I mean, right? You've got to push back. You've got to be willing to put in the work. Use these 3 tips and keep a lookout for more by subscribing to my YouTube channel and following me on Instagram. Remember, alignment requires a tuning in to your vision, your values, and your beliefs so that you can create for yourself and your business the breakthrough year that you've been waiting for. Thanks so much for checking in, and until next time, take care.